Hello, and welcome to Scuttlebutt, the War Movie Review Podcast. We're happy to have you with us as we take a look at films from the dawn of cinema to today. We aim to provide a raw and unapologetic review of each film's cinematography, historical accuracy, and delivery. In the process of analysis, certain details will be revealed. These spoilers are only divulged to ensure a fair assessment of each film. We make a break for the Swiss border this week with John Sturges' 1963 POW epic, The Great Escape. As always, I'm joined by Mike A.
Hello.
Mike B.
Yes, sir.
And Nate.
I'll be right back. I'm going to get wire happy.
So guys, what'd you think?
Nathan, you should go first.
Yeah, the one who has never seen this. Had never seen this.
Set the tone.
Are you still trying to do shit?
No, not at all. No.
No, I'm just punching
No.
keys.
No.
You literally told Brian he could fucking start, and you're sitting there fucking disconnected from this entire thing.
This is all getting cut out. So
No, it's not.
oh god.
No, it's
Just like waiting to escape from the camp, when will the podcast start?
Yeah. No, it was it's obviously been, everyone was shocked that I had never seen this before. I've always seen clips of it off and on for the last pretty much my
It's only
whole
been out for
entire
60
life.
years.
Yeah, it's only been like my whole life. And no, I mean, like I knew of clips, and I knew of context and kind of, you know, the pop culture of it, but it was really interesting to see it all kind of played out. And I liked it. I don't know. I don't really know what else to say. I mean, like, it's 1960s World War II movie. I mean, we've seen enough of those to know what those are like. But this doesn't, like, egregiously have those tropes, I'd have to say. But, I mean, no. I mean, like, I thoroughly enjoy the character development and all that kind of stuff. And all the pop culture references now make sense for the last fucking my whole life about, you know, the World War II and the hobby and all that stuff, and it's just very interesting. But no, I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed it. But you know, I don't have that nostalgia to it, which I know everyone else does.
That's good though, because like it's a different perspective. So
yeah. No, I mean, I'm not. I liked it. Like, I liked it a lot. It was cool. It was interesting. I noticed a lot of 60s things in it, which, you know, it is 60s. But, you know, we've seen a lot worse.
It's wildly entertaining, though. There's never a dull moment.
No. And it's really funny to, like, see all the actors that I, like, have seen in other roles and throughout my whole
it's an
childhood
all-star
and everything
cast.
like that. Well,
it's an all-star cast. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's insane.
I can't remember who the American was. I know it doesn't narrow it down. The American guy. No. The other one. The one that
Hentley.
black hair.
James Garner.
The James Garner.
That's the actor. Yeah.
Okay.
He's been in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, like
He was in Tank.
was he in Tank? I can't
Yep.
remember. I've seen him in a ton of stuff, and I was like, oh, it's that guy, but he's actually young. Like,
Yeah.
It's like actually that, and then like you know, obviously Jurassic Park.
Richard Attenborough.
Yeah. No,
I
is that his
told-
name?
Richard
Yeah.
Attenborough, yeah.
I
Is
told
it
my father
Attenborough?
that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he
Fuck.
didn't believe. I watched it with my father, and he didn't believe me, and I had to bring it up. And he was like, "Holy shit!" Because I made the joke.
Yeah.
I'm like, he escapes, and then he makes a fucking Jurassic Park camp. You know?
Yeah.
That's what you do.
Well, like
He was in a camp so long he wanted to make one.
I forgot because his son's David Attenborough, right?
I don't know who his son
Brother?
is.
Well, isn't David Attenborough like the
mean
nature
Richard
dude?
Attenborough?
So
Wait, are they related? Oh my god.
aren't
I'm
they?
Am I
looking
breaking
it
the
up
fourth
right now.
wall? I don't know.
Fucking goddamn it! In the middle of the podcast, Google search.
Yeah. His brother is David Attenborough.
Okay, it's a brother. Okay, yeah.
Oh.
Because I was
Interesting.
just,
Wow.
it's the same. It's the same name. I thought Richard was. I didn't realize his last name was Attenborough. I knew it was something close to that, but I didn't realize it was exactly the same. But yeah, no. Anyway, that's semantics. No, I mean, like, I really like. I also like seeing the guy from Gangs in New York, or not Gangs. Fuck, not Gangs in New York. What's the 30 dude with the mustache? Was he always has gray hair that Brian always talks about? The fucking the Brian, talk, please, for the love of God.
I need more context.
Sorry, who is he in the movie?
The fucking, he's the taller Tommy, who's like, who freaks
Charles
the fuck
Bronson.
out.
Charles Bronson.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what's
from
that?
Death Wish.
Death Wish. That's
Death
right.
Wish
Death
3,
Wish 1,
yeah.
2, and 3. Yeah.
10
right.
years after this.
Sorry, I thought it was.
No, 20.
We're off
Did-
to a great fucking start, by the way.
Didn't he have like a New York movie? Didn't he have like a titled New York in it?
Uh,
That's the same kind
Death
of
Wish
rendition
movies.
of Death Wish, or is
I
Death
mean-
Wish based in New York?
Yeah, the first Death Wish is in New York. The third Death Wish is in New York. The second one's in L.A.
Okay.
He was in The Mechanic. He was in a lot of stuff.
Okay, well, I wasn't
years.
here for Flyboys to fucking throw you guys off. Like, you guys did that yourselves, so this is my turn to fucking
It's
go
okay.
off the rails. Because, you talk about video games and a fucking World War One fucking fly movie. The one podcast, I'm not there, but, it's fine.
Well,
Fine. Fine.
if I can say, like, yeah, every actor in this, it's like top of their game, in terms of their performance. Like Charles Bronson, like, went on to have kind of a stupid career, like through the 70s and 80s, making these dumbass movies. But he's fucking awesome in this,
Yeah.
as Danny. And Richard Attenborough is mostly a director, but he's awesome in this, as the guy who's in charge of the whole thing. Obviously, Steve McQueen is doing his Steve McQueen, and that's fucking great. Yeah, it's like every actor and the character they play, in my opinion, is like perfect in this movie.
Yeah, it's incredibly well cast.
The Germans don't seem like, just to compare it to something that we've kind of had similar stuff. I mean, Stalag 17, right? Isn't that the movie?
Yeah, one of the
Yeah.
early reviews.
Right. The you didn't have the kind of like dopey kind of German, which was kind of cool, which was interesting because most of the time in those prison movies, you kind of get like this Abbott and Costello routine of slapstick, and I know you guys have talked about in verbatim in the past about how The Great Escape kind of set the tone for X, Y, and Z to kind of kick up a notch. Like same thing like with Platoon and all that kind of stuff. And so, I mean, anyway, in terms of you guys, I mean, like I was texting Mike B and saying like, hey, has it held up? And I'd like to launch you into that. So how's it held up?
So the last time I saw it was like a while ago, like between 6 and 8 years ago. I don't remember. And it does hold up. It is still really good. Kind of what Mike A was saying is like the acting in this is on a different level than you can expect from any film from that era or nowadays. It's just the acting was so fucking good because the writer and the director, it was kind of like a Coen Brothers thing where they're like, you're not going off the script. This is what it's written. This is what we researched. This is what you're going to say. This is how you're going to act. This is what it's going to be done, or what's going to be done. And they did that like through the whole thing, and like they actually based the outline of the camp and like the design of the camp off the original that they were basing it off of. It wasn't in Germany. We'll get to that in a second, but like they did so much fucking research in the late 50s and early 60s, which is very hard to do there because you have to go to libraries, you have to go to archives, you have to go to different countries and all that shit. They did this research while writing the script and everything. They wanted to get it as close as possible to what actually went down. Okay? And it's like, for those guys to do that at that point is very impressive. And they still, like, throughout the, entire set, like they were shooting and everything, they stuck with that. No, nobody's improvising. This is the script. Bam. And it was there was a documentary that I saw like a couple years ago, and I can't fucking find it. I've been trying to find it to rewatch it, but like, yeah, it just showed like how absolutely insanely meticulous that everybody, the producers, the director, the writer, they all were about getting it absolutely correct. And I respect the hell out of that. And so They didn't get it 100% because there's a lot of things that we can talk about that were not the same as what this was. But this actually was based on an actual true story that they got from POWs who survived, people who worked near the camp, blah, blah,
Well,
blah.
from the book, because it came out in the late 50s. And then-
Right. And that, so, but the book, like, that still was like, they did that and they were like, okay, they interviewed as many people as they could. And they were like, what did this camp look like? And then they got the blueprints and all that shit. So, like, dude, it's like a very fucking nerd level of research that went into this at that time, which is very hard to do. And so that is so impressive to me. And I love that. And again, I'll just, a caveat is I've been watching this shit since I was like 8 years old, right? I wore out the 2 fucking VHS box set we had that I acquired from my cousin. But like, I wore that shit out watching it so much. And watching it through the years, I'm still like, the older I get, the more I learn about this shit. I'm like, oh wow, they really actually put as much detail and research into this as was possible at that point. And that's why I think it's so good and stands the test of time. Brian.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I first saw this movie like on AMC in the early 2000s as a kid, and it's just one of those things that sticks with you. You know, I mean, we all can trace back our interest in history to something. Like, for example, a friend of mine, his grandfather brought back a Luger. So when he was a kid, he was always go to his grandparents and see the Luger and hear the story about it, and that's what sparked his interest in history. Mine was through movies, and my grandfather fought in the PTO, and my grandmother was in the ETO during the war. She was in Vienna. So I'd go to fucking these, reunions or whatever, and I'd hear like, oh, well, we killed the Nips on this island. And then my grandma would be like, oh, well, then I lost my house to the British. Like, so I had all the stuff, and then plus movies and everything. That's how you really get into it. So, I love these 60s films, like Hell's for Heroes, which is another great Steve McQueen movie. Where Eagles Dare. There's just so many good ones they've made, and not all of them held over time. But The Great Escape is just one that really, everybody really reveres.
Have you seen The War Lover?
No, I haven't actually. That
Okay.
came up when I was looking into it, and it's something I definitely want to see.
Yeah.
Steve McQueen did a lot of military roles. It's very
It's
interesting.
it's a
People
yes.
realize that.
It's another Steve McQueen World War II film. A very unusual film. I've never seen anything else kind of quite like it.
The stills are very interesting because I think he's a pilot or
He
whatever.
is, yeah,
So
he's
we'll
like a
definitely have to.
bomber.
We'll definitely have to add it to that. But and it's funny. Steve McQueen, he really didn't get his big break. He was on The Blob, which is an hysterical
That's his
movie.
first movie. Yep.
And then he ends up doing his really big first break was the Magnificent Seven. And he was on a TV show, a Western TV show. I forget the name of it. It was like Wanted Dead or Alive or something. And that was the usual way that guys would get into films back then. Like Clint Eastwood was on Rawhide forever, and then he ended up going on to bigger films and stuff. But Steve McQueen, just going on a tangent, is very interesting because as a kid he was really bad. He was a bad juvenile. He stole cars. He did all this crazy shit, and he literally got arrested. And the judge was like, "You can go in the service, or you can go to prison." And he went to the Marine Corps, and he said it changed his life. And like he, had responsibilities for his actions, and it changed things, and it put him on this path. And it's really interesting to know that because if you ever see him with weapons, especially in Hell's for Heroes, I think that's his best gunplay. Like, he knows his way around a grease gun. He knows his way around this shit. And so it's interesting how that came into it. So you really see his military bearing come out a lot. But no, it's a really good movie, and they did everything they can, to make it as correct as they can. They don't get everything that they get in the book. I mean, you can never get everything from the original source material, and I highly recommend that you read the book. It's not only really good, but it's a really good read. It's written very well. So 100% listen to it or check it out if you haven't. You're really missing out if you haven't. But on top of that, what's interesting is that one of the actors who's pretty famous was actually a navigator, I believe, in the RAF during the war, and he was shot down, and he ended up in a POW camp. Do you guys know which actor that was?
Donald Pleasance.
Yeah, it's Donald
Yep.
Pleasance, right? Yeah.
That was Donald Pleasance. And he's been in a bunch of stuff. People will probably recognize him more from Halloween because he plays, the doctor trying to find the.
Kind of like
thing.
Charles Bronson. He was another actor who kind of petered off into like shitty B movies later in his life.
Yeah, he had a very interesting filmography, and he did it until the 90s and stuff. But yeah, it's funny. A lot of these guys just fade out. They never just they have their heyday and then that's it. But yeah, so it's interesting that he was on set, and he fucking lived through the camps, so he had a lot of things to add to it and things. But no, it's such a good film, and I'm really glad that we're doing. This is also our 50th episode, which is cool. So we wanted to do a big one for our 50th, and yeah. But no, we can get into it later. But I don't know. There's so many good things about this film. The motorcycle scenes with Steve McQueen are excellent. I mean, they're so well executed, and there's so much stupid shit that I love about it. Like, for example, when Steve McQueen, like, he gets to a point on his bike, and then he fucking takes the cap off and shakes the tank to look how much
see how
gas
much
he has
gas
left.
he has. Yeah,
That's classic. Show don't tell.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's just so fucking cool. And yeah, and it's funny. Since I watched this last time to now, I now have a bunch of World War II motorcycles, and I have a German one I'm restoring. So I watched the film, and the first thing I did was go down and play with it. And I was just like, fucking, I am Steve McQueen. But it's such a good fucking movie, and it just holds up so well. But
yeah, there are a lot of details that are once the escape happens, it's funny. There is not a lot of dialogue in the movie, and kind of like what you say, show don't tell, and that stuff gets really interesting in my opinion, where you see how they make Germany look and all that stuff. One thing that I think is I've always thought was really interesting. They never mention it, but for some reason, Bartlett and McDonald are disguised as French civilians, not Germans. So that's really interesting. I just thought that's just interesting how when the Gestapo is looking at his papers, he's like, oh, Francais, and he's like, oui, and it's interesting that instead of trying to pass as German civilians, they're trying to pass as French civilians. Just a little detail.
There were so many guest workers, as they called them, I believe, around the Reich at the time. You know, it was very common to run to the Poles, to Russians, to French, to Italian. I mean, smattering of Europe all over Germany or whatever, because, they needed the war workers. So, being a Brit, being a Frenchman kind of makes sense, because you're not going to, that's a very hard accent to hide. If you have Cagney or like your Jordan, whatever, if you have a very specific British accent, it comes out if you speak French. So, masking your identity in something like that helps. It's like, the Gorlami from, Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah.
It's like we all can't pull off certain fucking accents and shit. Mm-hmm. So, but if you hide yourself from that.
What's cool, though, is that also during all those scenes, they never put subtitles in. And, when they're asking about their papers, and they have it actually in German and French, but they don't put subtitles. Because, it's like showing, don't telling. You just know kind of what's going on. You don't need subtitles, or like the part where they stop Bartlett and he's like, you are English. And he's like, talk to him like, what? And you just know that he's able to bullshit his way through it. Go ahead, Brian.
Good luck. Thanks. The subconscious is what always gets you. Mm-hmm. They say one of the best ways to find a real spy is you punch someone as hard as you can, because it's incredibly hard to stop that reflex of you swearing in your native language. So there's very little things that you basically can't hide of your nationality. So yeah, stupid shit always gets you in the end. I remember there was a random story where they found it like an East German spy or something, because the way he held his flowers, and it was a way that they did it in a certain part of the world that we don't do in the West. And it's like certain things like that, again, you can't unlearn. It's just the subconscious.
And that's like, really quick, before we get off this tangent, I'm going to go on the tangent a little bit. Inglourious Bastards, he actually did good research on how they, this is 3, mm-hmm. Like holding up, counting a certain way. Just little things like that. Because your accent can be good, right? But it's not enough to know the accent. It's enough. You have to fucking know.
Cocainium. Yeah.
Red heat.
Oh God, Jesus.
Yeah.
Cocainium.
It's very hard to hide those subtle things, and that's the difference between a spy and a master.
Hey Brian, do you know who else was not World War II but a combat vet?
No.
James Garner.
Oh, interesting.
Well, so was
he was in Korea. He was an infantryman.
Charles Bronson was in World War II.
I think he was in the Navy, if I remember correctly.
Charles Bronson?
Yeah, I could be getting that wrong, but
I think he was in the Army.
Yeah. I thought it was that.
But James Garner was in Korea. He got 2 Purple Hearts, and he was an infantryman in Korea with the 24th.
Interesting.
It's funny
it's
funny when you look at old movies back then, how many actors were in the war, because just the war was so huge. So
Well, like when we did The Longest Day, and I can't remember his name, but there was the one actor who, for the Ox and Bucks, he was like the paratrooper major in charge of the Pegasus Bridge operation. And he was a part of the Ox and Bucks during the war.
Richard
And,
Todd.
like there was
yeah.
and there was a guy playing him, but
In the
he had a
movie,
bigger
yeah.
role. So it was funny, like he was part of the operation. You know, it just happened to be. So
Yeah, and that's why I think a lot of these guys. I don't know the performances in this film were fantastic. Like, I don't think you can get much better than that. I really don't. Because it was so like just real, and it didn't seem scripted, even though it was heavily scripted, and there was no deviation from that. So, Nate.
Just to follow up, Bronson was in Army Air Force as a B-29 aerial gunner.
Okay.
Oh shit!
I know that I think Ernest Borgnine was in the Navy. That's what I might be mixing it up with.
Yeah.
He did McHale's
He was in
Navy,
McHale's Navy.
He flew 25 missions and received a Purple Heart.
That's
25
he did a full
missions.
25. Wow.
25.
Jesus Christ!
Well, that was standard.
As a gunner.
Yeah, aerial gunner. That's what it says on his on the bio thing I found.
God damn, dude. That's hardcore. I mean, that 25 missions in the Second World War.
Wasn't he in Was he in The Good and the Bad and the Ugly for like
No.
5 seconds?
No, you're thinking of Once Upon a Time in the West.
Maybe that the
no,
one with the
yes.
harmonica.
Yeah, that's a
Am
great
I?
scene.
Is that which movie is that?
No, I don't think that's Charles Bronson.
He is in Once Upon a Time in the West.
Yeah,
You're
not the Good, the
100%
Bad, and the
right.
Ugly though.
He's not in the Good, the Bad, the Ugly.
Okay.
He's not in any of the spaghetti westerns. No.
Okay.
Because Clint Eastwood was like, "I'm out."
Well, then who's
They had to replace him.
Who's
so
the harmonica one? What am I thinking of?
you're thinking of the same thing.
Okay.
And when he takes the harp, because he's a kid in the beginning of it, and
Right, yeah.
spoiler,
Yeah,
in
that's
the end,
Once Upon a Time in the West.
Okay.
That
thank you.
duel is amazing. That's probably one of my favorite scenes of ever been shot ever. Just oh my god, this is like magnum opus of fucking westerns.
All right, I'm just gonna say this because I'm guilty of it too. Let's stay on track. We're getting to do the
Yeah.
fucking WWII shit right here, and this
But,
is not something we should do that on.
And we do it every podcast. But no, it's just a great movie, and
Well,
it's all around.
Yeah, talking about like all the because there's so many characters and stuff like that that make it. I like the German characters too. I like the prison commandant. The von Luger. The fact that when they get the news about the prisoners being killed, he's like legitimately broken up about it.
Right, and I was telling Brian yesterday we were talking, and the thing I was telling you about earlier, Michael, you may have noticed this, but like on von Luger, he's got a World War One on his ribbon rack.
Yep,
right?
I noticed that.
He's got an Iron Cross with the fucking clasp, right? He's got an Iron Cross First Class with the clasp. Okay. He's also got a fucking blue max around his neck.
I noticed that too. Actually, I don't know what that is, but I look different. So what is that?
I noticed that. But I
It's
didn't know
basically
what
like
it
the
was.
World War One German version of the Medal of Honor or the Knight's Cross with like oak leaves and clusters.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So this guy, he was a flyer, more than likely, right, in the Air Force.
He shot down James Franco.
We can only hope. But yeah, like this guy is a badass, and now he's for whatever reason, like, in charge. He's the commandant of the prison camp.
Yeah.
But the most badass prison camp, because you got all the, like he said, the rotten eggs in one basket. Like you got all these guys that have escaped multiple times. They don't know what the fuck to do with them, so it's a new camp. But he's the one that's put in charge of this, and it's like, okay, he's a colonel, not a rank to fucking sniff at, but like also, not that high. So like maybe he just kind of stopped giving a fuck at a point. Who knows? But like it's like he's in charge of this prison camp.
Yeah.
And he's going to make goddamn sure that everything goes well.
I
Go ahead,
know
Brian.
that we touched on this in Stalag 17, but there were these Luftwaffe camps that were set up just for flyers. Where
Yes.
These guys were treated better, and it was the Stalag Luft system,
Yeah.
the air camps, basically. And this was just, the highest, I guess you take maximum security one, or at least an attempt to do that. But it's very interesting, because in the late 40s, 50s, and early 60s, you have all these POW films, and the two well-known ones are Stalag 17 and this one. But like, A Man Escaped is probably my favorite one. It's a late 50s French noir film. And it's like that's an incredibly realistic film. Like this is a great campy journey about Allied guys, like trying to escape, and from a Luftwaffe camp. So it's not like some of the worst German camps everybody knows about. The guys are treated pretty good and they're able to get away with it. But then when you watch, A Man Escaped and he's in a fucking Gestapo prison and they show what a Gestapo prison's like, like fucking Alcatraz on steroids.
Well,
like,
they
holy fuck.
alluded to that with Roger.
Yeah, a little bit. Yep.
He just came out of there and okay, well, you fuck up one more time, you're done.
Yeah.
They do show, I don't know if it's technically a Gestapo camp, but once they're all being rounded up after being recaptured, they're at that SS camp, and it's like it looks like a dungeon. It's
a castle. Yeah, like it's like a big building. They would have that it's actually very accurate.
Right.
Colditz was the famous one from the war where they kept all the British high-ranking officers. They kept Sterling there from the LRDG and everything, and that was literally a castle. Like you can't see it from a castle, even though guys did and tried to. One guy built a fucking glider in the attic. It's interesting. So, of all these, the Luftwaffe camps were better. It was the place you wanted to be. If you could lie, cheat, or steal to get there, you did.
Well, that's what it was alluded to. Is like, hey, just do your thing. You'd be provided with gardening tools, this and that. The food is whatever, but like we don't have food either. So, but we're gonna get food. Just sit out the war as comfortably as possible.
And there was a whole society of, ways to get these guys out of the camps or give them means to get out of the camps. Like, for example, a lot of the first aid kits or the Red Cross package that they sent would have fake buttons with compasses and escape aids. That was a very big thing that they did during the war to try to supply these guys with. And there also was very big organizations, especially in France and the Western European countries, to help these guys get out. And I remember there was a rule where if you were a flyer and you got out, there was like probably, I think 5 to 10% of the guys that were shot down actually did escape during the war and got back to England or Italy or stuff. You were not allowed to, they kept you in quarantine for 6 weeks so that all of your information wouldn't matter and you were not allowed to talk about who helped you get out. I have this great memoir from a guy who actually, he did end up escaping. It was a name for the operation, and he was part of the, whatever Air Force was out of Italy, Foggia, Italy. He ended up getting shot down over in Yugoslavia, and like Tito's partisans helped him get out and stuff. And they literally like flew him out in a C-47 and stuff. And he was sworn to secrecy about it. He's like, well, if they know that we're doing this, then they're going to kill the operation. But there was a very big part of Europe that was helping. Even my grandmother admits she grew up in in Vienna and then outside of Vienna for a while. There were 3 Americans that showed up their flyers, and they kept them in their barn overnight. And she said, I hope they made it. No idea. But literally, they just spent a night in their barn. And they were not sympathetic to the Germans. They were Austrians. Who gives a fuck? So, there's a lot of these stories. So, guys trying to escape is bigger than what I think people realize. It's like you want to escape. Like that one guy they show who ends up killing himself because he can't take it anymore. There's only so much you can deal with living behind barbed wire and walls.
Well, and also, this location in real life was not in southern Germany. It was in
it was where
just south.
It was where Poland is now, right?
Right. It's south of where
Celestia, they call it or something.
No, it's south of Breslau, or what they call it, or Wrocław. I know I'm pronouncing that wrong. You Polish guys, I'm sorry, I don't speak Polish.
Bart's driving to your house to shoot you.
Bart will, because that's where Bart's from. But like, no, it was just south of there. It was not that close to Switzerland or France, much less.
No, well, yeah. So I mean, I get why they did this for the movie. They have all this like Bavarian-looking stuff, these rolling hills and these farmhouses with terracotta roofs and stuff. But yeah, like in reality, it would have been in like real drab, Eastern looking areas.
A lot of pine trees.
Right, yeah. And also the actual escape happened, I think, in the middle of winter. So it was like fucking ice that they had to chisel through to get through.
It was early like 44. Yeah.
Does anyone know by doing a deep dive at all where they filmed this?
I think they filmed this in southeastern Germany.
I know. I know.
I'm pretty sure.
I know a lot of the actual but once they escape, that is actual German locations and stuff.
Yeah, because the buildings in the local area remind me a lot of oh shit, the musical with the woman singing in the field. What the fuck?
Sound
is
of
that
Music.
called?
Sound of
Thank
Music,
you.
yeah.
That was in
kinda
Austria, but hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are parts of this once they escape where it looks like Grand Budapest Hotel, where it's just like these very Bavarian looking places.
Well, that's what Central Europe looks like.
Houston,
Czechoslovakia
Bavaria.
looks like that too.
Hamburg for railway scenes. Yeah, they filmed it all in Bavaria.
Again, that's one of the benefits. I mean, that's the one thing about the 60s and the 70s movies is that I am constantly blown away by the amount of like filming, location, play area, things they could get, things they could find, things they could set dress and get. Like, you just can't see that anymore because of how developed the world is in certain areas.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to like see Steve McQueen ride a motorcycle through a field and there's barely anything really there.
Right,
It's,
right,
It's
right.
just like, and the fact that they could set dress a whole entire field with barbed wire and fencing and it's just that stuff is never lost on me with these older movies. It's really, really cool in that sense.
There's the one scene where he gets the motorcycle with the piano wire.
Yeah,
That's a great scene, but like in reality, you'd fucking cut that guy in half.
I was about to say
Like,
I would not.
The head would have come off.
well, no, because the way he does it, he like goes for his chest. But long story short, it would have been a lot.
It would have been
nastier,
fucking
they had to
brutal.
be G.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
PG-13.
And
Just
A
gotta
lot of
keep it
blood.
PG.
A lot of
And just
blood.
go off on a tangent with this. So a lot of the vehicles are period and everything. I mean, but the bike, especially that Steve McQueen is riding, is a 1962 Triumph English motorcycle. And that's because he had a deal with Triumph at the time. So people that like want to make replicas of the Steve McQueen bike from the movie, they buy 1960s Triumphs and paint them Feldgrau, which is funny. But in the beginning of the film, they have some original German NSUs and a BMW or two.
The planes in it, none of the planes I don't think are German.
I think the trainer is right. I gotta look it up.
Okay.
But yeah, they have the whole airport scene where it's all like the trainers and shit.
Yeah.
But so that was the one thing that my father pointed out that I thought was interesting. So they have the scene, spoiler, where they run out of gas or whatever and they crash the plane, and all of a sudden, the forger gets shot, from far away. My father was like, if you see a friendly plane crash in a friendly field, like, wouldn't you drive up to it to see if the German pilot's still alive?
That's what I was wondering.
And I was like, I never thought about it like that. He's like, yeah, why are they shooting him? Like, it's got a swastika on it, and they're Germans.
Well, okay, so
you can't tell everybody, like, within 30
can't
minutes.
tell everyone, but like
We're pulling Mike's baby apart. Pulling.
No, I mean, you're not pulling my baby. It's not my baby.
I'm joking. Go
but
on.
With a Farby sniper rifle.
You're not
at that,
fucking
too.
joking. You're being fucking serious, and I fucking hate you, Nate.
Every
Take your
time.
fucking Old Bay hat
Every
off, you
time.
fucking clown.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, but like, also they would have been notified, I think, in the area, but also they covered a lot of ground. So it's like, yeah.
I think
who
it was
knows?
implied that maybe. I mean, I don't know how, but like, because right when they're taking off, it shows the guys in the tower like calling on the phone,
Making calls,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah. So I think it might have
outrun a
been
radio?
I think it was implied that they were being tracked or something. But I mean, that would be hard over all those mountains and shit.
That's the thing, is like they covered so much ground, but like maybe like, yeah. I mean, who knows?
Yeah. Who knows? Whatever.
But yeah, that's a valid point. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, do you whenever you see a plane crash, do you run up and start shooting the people to get out of it? I mean, just saying.
Well, but if you see somebody through a scope or binoculars with civilian clothing on coming out of a German plane, and you just
why is there a
realize
guy
that-
with a random sniper rifle in the middle of the field?
Okay, well, you can argue that. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I love the film too, but it's just it's a very quick plot.
Oh,
device.
no,
I don't
yeah,
know why
it's
they
like,
did it.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of shit wrong with the film. There is. I don't care.
all the MG3s they use.
So
Were they MG3s?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
the rate of fire is
you-
cut in half,
And you can tell
and
by
they filmed it in
the-
Germany.
But isn't there a rear sight thing with that too?
That's a Yugo.
Okay.
The Yugos don't have anti-aircraft sight mounts on the top of
No,
the
the
car.
MG3, like you could tell also with the rounds, like when they're actually doing blank fire or live fire, as they call it in the film. The rounds are not 8mm. They're short.
So I just looked up the airplanes. Yeah, it says all the planes on the airfield are American AT-6 Texas trainers,
There we go.
mocked up with.
Oh,
with,
that's Texan trip.
Yeah, mocked up with Balkenkreuz.
But I think the plane they fly though, that's not a Texan.
It says though right
No,
here.
it's-
It says
suck.
it says However, the plane that they steal is an authentic German Bucker Boo 181 Bestman.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, because there's Texans on the airfield. Texans suck because they're really loud, and they were modified into a lot of things. They modified a lot of Texans into Vals for Tora, and actually those are still flying around the country. But yeah, you got to do what you could do. But the plane they were in reminded me of an ME 108, which is the trainer version of the 109. But it was at least cool they had a real German. This is the only film I can think of. The Battle of Britain uses Spanish planes, but that has a real German plane in it.
They crashed the fuck out of it. I mean, because
I know, right?
Yeah.
I wonder how they shot that. It's like on a catapult or something, or
I don't know.
Not good.
all practical.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We're gonna make some aviation story and cry. Let's smash into a tree.
Yeah, if we're doing technical shit, the helmets for the Germans, pretty good, but the decals...
The decals are fucked. Yeah, right when they show up in the movie, I'm like, ooh, that's not good.
But they got some of them, right? They got some of them,
Some
right?
of them, yeah.
Some of them are doing this though, like some of them are like thimble,
Oh, yeah.
thimble
Yeah,
heads.
they had too small of helmets, and they're
Yeah.
just like, just deal with it.
Did you notice the different color for the Luftwaffe helmets compared to the SS guys and everything? And it was very subtle, but I thought it was very cool.
Well, the Luftwaffe color was not good at all. It was like light gray.
That was blue. It was too blue, but it still was nice to see like somebody cared enough to be like, well, wait a minute.
Dude, they were mostly like light gray. The Luftwaffe helmets. They were like shiny and like light gray. Even on the 42s that they had, they were shiny and light gray, and it's like no.
I'm glad Baby Shrek made an appearance in this film too. The guy from Kelly's Heroes.
Which one is that?
Wait, who?
The
The
tank
officer.
commander. Yeah.
Oh, the German
yes.
guy.
Yeah, the SS guy at the end.
Baby
Yep.
Shrek.
Your hands up.
Your German is very good. Also, I hear your French.
Your hands up.
Your arms up. Yep. Exactly.
But yeah, no, he's in this, which I laughed because all I could hear was me saying Baby Shrek from last time.
Baby Shrek.
That's funny, Nate.
Thank you. Sometimes I am.
Yeah.
In terms of like cinematography, I mean, other than the 1960s shots that were kind of the obvious wide and all that kind of stuff, it was it seemed like a lot of stage, obviously set dressing and stage camera work, but it's not aged, like it doesn't age badly for what it is. And the cool thing is like having those set dressings on the outside of the prison's hut things are really interesting. I like how they were able to doctor those up and make them look really good.
The most artistic shot that I saw that I liked was kind of random too. Is when they're singing and they have the Dutch shot of like the guy leading the singing, and it was like just very strangely framed.
Cavendish
for the rest of the film. Yeah. It was just like with the slant of the roof and like the way that the angle was. I was like, that's strange.
Oh, are you talking about when like the roof was moving? Like
when they're doing the singing,
they're doing
and
the choir.
they're getting all the boards out of the beds.
Oh, okay, yeah. I thought maybe the
It was
roof,
like Dutch, and I'm like, why did you have to Dutch that? There's no reason to.
Yeah, I thought the roof was moving because they removed too much wood off the top.
There's he says that they're storing dirt in the attic.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
They did remove too much wood. That's why it was bowing like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No,
So-
It's
funny.
it's interesting though, like the again going back to the details, stuff like that, showing all of these little ingenuities that they have to do, like their little shovels they have in there are cans that have been cut diagonally, which I think is just fucking awesome. And then I mean all of the wood that they're having to take from the huts in clever ways where people aren't going to see it, and there are no nails or anything. They just have to kind of set it up in there, and hope for the best. But go ahead, Nate.
The other thing I was gonna say is that fuck, God, my head today, Jesus Christ!
Is this read between the lines?
No, I was holding up my hand to get, and then the fleet went out of my head. Oh, there it is. A lot of the things was I wanted to do a callback again to Stalag 17, where Brian had mentioned, I think it was, that there were a lot of details that you can really only get from the memoirs of the men who were there. And I think this also reflects that as well. There's a lot of little things in terms of, the items they used, the items they modified, the ways they were doing things, the way they procured things, the way they were hiding things and kind of going about it. Obviously, it being a true story or basing it off of a true story, you do see the references of all that stuff within the film as well. And I think that really is also still remains really cool, the fact that other films try to hit that detail mark. Again, I think that bringing a callback to Master and Commander, where the details really matter, I think in that field, I think they really nailed it.
Yeah, and there's a lot in this to put. I mean, I love the the air system where they have that thing to do this, to pump the
bellows.
Yeah, the bellows to pump the air into the whole thing. Go ahead, Brian.
So one thing that was very interesting to me, and I think I brought this up before when we watched The Grand Illusion. So The Grand Illusion comes out in 1937, and it's an amazing film about World War I guys trying to escape, from a German prisoner of war camp. And there's one thing that they have in that they have in this. And I read the book, and like, it has to be the same, but in the movie, The Grand Illusion, the way they hide the dirt is the exact same way that they hide the dirt in this film.
Yeah.
And knowing British high society and knowing officers and knowing things like that, there's no way that, one of those guys did not see that movie and the 6 years preceded this event and was like, put the dots together. It's just crazy that 2 years before the war came out, there's a movie that's like, this is how we tried to break out of a camp. And then they use those exact same things during the war to break out of a camp. Like, that's too much of a correlation in my mind. Or
Well, it's
that
also-
film had to have an influence in some way.
Sure, it could have, but like it's also common sense because like the dirt that they're digging up. I'm not just discrediting it all what you said, but like even if let's just say nobody would have seen that or known about that film, nobody saw it in the camp. Common sense would be like, okay, so the dirt we're digging up below ground has got a lot of moisture in it. When it dries, it'll look the same. So we need to mix it in and then get it in the sun so it dries. But like you said, it was already done in The Grand Illusion. So there's a really good
Literally,
chance. Yeah, there's a really good
And
chance.
they were in so many different camps. I mean, you telling me that a French flyer that, was in a camp didn't know about that and tell it to an English guy that told it to, it's just fascinating that,
right. And I'm saying
there.
even without any knowledge, like it'd still be common sense, just like it was in the First World War. It's like, well, so it's like, who knows? Who knows? Maybe it happened one way or the other, but like, that's one of those things like we'll never know because we weren't there.
Yeah. Or somebody didn't remember to write it down. So this is how we did it.
Exactly.
X, Y, Z,
Exactly.
But yeah, no, it's just so many little details in it that are great,
I'm trying to think of
From the guy writing 17 for his tunnel to like,
Yeah.
they have to use the special shit to move the stove out of the way. I mean, it really just showed life in a camp. And, Stalag 17 does a good job of it, but it's more campy. And it was really funny when we reviewed the film and we put that out there on the internet and stuff. And so many people were mad at us because we were using the original poster. And the original film, Stalag 17, was, marketed as a comedy. And because everyone that's really seen it didn't watch it in the theaters in the late 40s, they've only saw it on TCM and stuff. They're like, that's not a comedy. That's a serious
even
movie.
though it totally
It's like,
is.
Yeah, like, wait a minute. Read the fucking marketing deal. Like, let's conceptualize this like everything, Yeah, exactly. If you watch it just out of the blue, it's like you're going to get an opinion. But, like, look at all the fucking posters. Why do they say it's a it's a comedy? Like, because that's what
Well,
it was
just watch the
presented.
It's
fucking.
pre-Hogan's Heroes.
Just
Yeah,
watch the
Hogan's
movie
Hero.
too. It's definitely a comedy.
Yeah,
It's like
The
it's
Russian
a
women and
dark
everything.
comedy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What it is. Yep.
It's about guys trying to escape, this hell. And this one is they're actually escaping, like.
Yeah, this one's
So.
very much a drama. That's what it is. And it's like, the thing is like they all have this common goal. Like they need to get the fuck out. And everybody plays their part. The guys that are singing to mask the sound of them making noise inside the building, they're still playing a part. They'll get out. And it's like, and then, I did like the part too where like Danny is like, it comes up that he's like really claustrophobic.
Yeah, that's a really interesting character trait. I love that.
And then once he comes out as that, and then he gets like, people notice that, then he's just like, okay, I can just go with it, and it ends up fucking a lot of people, But it's like, did it? Because most of them got shot.
Well, that was a problem that I remember from the book there was an air raid and they did have an issue and they couldn't get more people out, and because they wanted to get 250 out. And they also talk about, not really in the movie, but in the book, that like because it was spring of 44 it happened. I think it was March if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But like, the Germans put like 50,000 internal troops trying to look for these guys over the course of late March, early April of 44. And they're like, we kind of contributed to the craziness of Europe before the invasion. So in a way, it tied up some German forces.
No, it did. That was the entire goal that was said through the film, is like, we're gonna get 250 out, and like then that's an insane amount of troops looking for them, and that they're not gonna be able to fucking whatever. And where that happened, like, because once they escaped, like the timeline isn't necessarily clear of how long it took for them to, because like, so the Australian guy Sedgwick, right? He's on a bike. He happens to get through. He gets to what we think is Paris. Even if you're in Bavaria, right? To get to Paris is a long fucking hike on bike.
He gets on a train though.
Right, for sure. But like, yeah, I mean, like, but before that, he was in a French town. Like before that, right?
Okay.
I'm getting that correct, right?
I don't
It wasn't
remember.
it might have been afterwards. He was in that like French town. So maybe he hopped a train to Paris. Okay. Yeah, I think he did. Anyway, so he goes there, but like it's still a long way away. It's like a very, it's like a fucking 6-8 hour drive on a train. And then you're in Paris, and then you're just kind of lollygagging around, doing whatever. You happen to get lucky, and people can get you to Spain, which he does, which is good. But it's like that whole process is not just going to take like 2 days. It's going to take weeks. And so that's why, like, that it doesn't really in the film give us, once they actually get out, it doesn't give us a timeline of like how long it took for them to round everybody up. Because it makes it seem like they're all rounded up in like a day or two, right? So, yeah.
It never
it's
says, it never really shows them like having to sleep in areas or anything like that after they get out or anything. Yeah. But it's also never clear, like, within the prison camp, how long it takes them to build these tunnels or anything like that.
Well, it shows like different time periods passing, but yeah, there's no clear.
A little bit, yeah. It doesn't show any.
The 4th of July and everything.
Yeah.
You get like a little bit.
Right.
Of that.
That scene.
And I know in the.
Go ahead, Brian. Sorry.
No, that's a great scene. No, I want to talk about that. Yeah, no, that's really good, and it's it's interesting because in the real Great Escape, it started with Americans and Brits digging, and then halfway through, they had a camp they were building next door that was like across the barbed wire from it, and they moved all the Americans into their own camp about 3/4 of the way through where the tunnels were being built. So in reality, there were no Americans that took part in the actual escape, but American market and everything, Steve McQueen, whatever. So the Americans literally went to their own camp next door and started digging their own tunnel. They could see the Brits through the barbed wire and everything. There was a separation, but it's kind of interesting. They kind of got screwed out of it, and they did help in the early part of it. But yeah, the 4th of July scene is great and everything. And that's really the only thing that you see, like, where it propels time.
Yeah.
Or like pushes it along.
That scene is interesting because it's it's showing, because everyone else is British there. It's showing this whole thing of like, hey, we have this history, but we can be friends, and work together, basically.
Yep.
And it's hilarious though. It's like fucking moonshine, and they're drinking it like first thing in the morning.
Well, yeah,
potato vodka. Yeah.
Yeah, they're fucking hicks, and it's like, I love that. Well, no, it's not vodka. This is Everclear. What they made is Everclear.
Oh, fermented, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because it's not diluted. So it's like, it's gonna be like 97% alcohol, which is like drinking. It's like drinking fucking rubbing alcohol.
It
It's,
affects
like,
it affects their voices when they talk.
Oh yeah, look, if you ever had Everclear, which probably none of you guys have, like, it's
It's fun.
You have, Nate?
Yeah,
I
well,
have not.
Have you been to college? You probably had
It's
Everclear.
It's been 10 years, so I can.
No,
say
straight Everclear.
Yes.
Straight Everclear.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I'll say it very quickly. I didn't know what I was doing, and this roommate I had, he was a complete schmuck. Fuck you. You know who you are. And he was being a twat, and he was like, man, he's like, oh yeah, I mix this with stuff, and it's really good. And I'm like, yeah, like, give me that. and I pour a shot out, and I just go whop.
Ooh.
Yep.
And he looks at me, and I'm like, I can't show. I take it, and I
can't show weakness.
Instantly, I knew I made a mistake.
Oh, you fucked
Instantly,
up big time.
And
Yep.
I just went, it's like, yeah, no, it's fine. He goes, wow, like damn, I can't do that. I'm like, yeah, it's nothing. And I'm like, yeah, let me know when everyone kind of shows up. He's like, okay, cool. And I like open up my door and I close it and I lock it, and I then double over onto my bed, just praying for death because it's just burning my insides. Like
Like that's the thing is like when Everclear, like that kind of alcohol, like it's shown in this film, goes into your mouth. It makes your mouth feel like you just drank hot tea, plus the burn of the alcohol, like the actual like burning sensation, like the pain, and then you swallow it, and then it does fuck with your voice a little bit. It's like holy shit, like fucking Christ.
Well, pretty much you're killing everything in your gut when you drop it down there, and then your gut's like, I don't like that. I'm gonna.
Well, I used to like back in the day. I went through like a 3-week phase where I was drinking Everclear straight out of a bottle at parties. So I'm like, oh, it's more cost effective, and a bunch of older people were like, you're gonna ruin your fucking body doing that. And then they were right, and I'm like,
that's like drinking like human safe Drano that just slightly burns through you.
Yeah, it's really fucked up. But like that's what I'm saying is these guys are drinking in this film.
Yeah,
is like because it's not diluted with anything. It's just straight up fucking alcohol, and you get like 3% water in there, and then the rest of it's all booze. And so the Brits when they go, oh fuck, yeah. But it's like, hey, it'll make you feel a little bit warm for a bit,
It's if you were in that situation though, you would have partaken.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But like that's why they're reacting like that, and that's actually because I've actually heard a lot of people be like, oh, they're just drinking fucking vodka, and I'm like, no, it's not vodka. You don't understand.
You don't know pain until you do that.
It's the serious shit. They have nothing to dilute it with. They're not going to do it. They're just fucking giving it out.
Yeah.
And that's why like that whole performance of like everybody taking the drink, they go, everybody just goes, oh God. It fucking hurts. It sucks. But like, and
I like it. Yeah. Bartlett's like, he's like, the whole time I've been in here, this is the most shattering thing I've ever drank ever. You know?
This is the most, what the fuck is the word to use? Like, this is the most something stuff I've had.
Right. Yeah. And he goes,
it's like,
it's just shattering. And then McDonald's like, I think it's rather good.
He just no burner. I think it's like, there's a true booze hound right there. But like, that was a cool scene. And then it's like they're all celebrating, and then like you can tell the Germans, they're in there and they're trying to look, and they can't quite fucking find it.
Right, but they
know something's up.
Know something's up. They find those 2 boards. They're like, what the fuck is this all about? Like this isn't right. And then Werner,
right, and that's why. Yeah, and I think Brian mentioned this earlier. Like, it's not like the Germans are retarded on this film. They're actually very smart, and they're playing the game better than most of these guys are, and they're trying. It's a game.
Yeah, the fact that he discovered it because Werner spills his coffee and it seeps through the tiles, and like,
and he notices that though.
Yeah,
What typical German soldier or airman would see that? Mm-hmm. It's like, so that says something about the guard force. Mm-hmm. These guys are elite. They do notice things. And, at the beginning, like the first day that they're there, the fucking pitchfork's in there.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, are you going out with the Russians? No, you're not.
I like that part, though, a lot. That captain character, the German captain guy, he's like, when the people, when Ives pops out, he's like, hold it for a second. He's like looking up his name. Oh, yes, and then he finds everyone else. He's like, I'm not going to reprimand anybody. But, like it's only the first day. But and he says, there's been a lot of stupidity on both sides.
Both sides, yes.
I love that.
Yep. Because it's true. It's like, it's, and that's like the first day. And then I'm sure they had briefings and they were like, nope, this is the SOP now. Mm-hmm. Let's fucking do this way. And, so it was like a back and forth. And like, the Germans are not portrayed as like fucking idiots, which I like.
Yeah, same here.
Because they were not. Mm-hmm. I mean, they weren't. Like, these guys were really good at what they did, and they're like, these guys are the worst of the worst, and you guys are the best of the best. That's why you're guarding them. Mm-hmm. I do love the entourage that he's always got. Those 2 guys, the really tall German guy and the short German guy.
Oh, yeah.
He goes to the cooler.
Mm-hmm.
Every fucking time.
The guy with that really distinct face that always locks Steve
Yep.
McQueen up. Yeah.
Was there? I didn't see any like egregious uniform stuff, but I don't know much about British Air Force and all that other kind
I
of
don't
stuff.
know either. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell is that blue and white. I think that's like an RAF like service ribbon. I don't know, like a Flyers ribbon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The diagonal one that most of them had. I know the colonel, like the guy that walks with the cane, the British guy.
Yeah.
That's in charge of all them. I know he had a World War One victory ribbon on, so he was also in World War One. Probably as a flyer.
Yeah, I wish I did know more about the British stuff because a lot of them wear those brown battle dress uniforms.
Yeah.
The British were okay. I mean, I'm not the best on it. It's hard because there's so many multinationals that were there because there were Poles, there were Czechs, there were Brits, there were Canadians, there were Australians, and every Commonwealth Air Force was a little bit different. So but generally you have the RAF blue is the tunic that they wore. So I'm not necessarily sure as well with the brown and everything, but generally it was really good. The Germans were okay. They had a lot of four-pocket tunics, which is strange because the German four-pocket Luftwaffe tunic is like what you wear when you walk out. It's like you're going out tunic. I mean, they should be Fliegers, and also, the Flieger is the M40 Flieger. It's like it's your flight uniform, or whatever, and everybody had them.
But if you're in garrison in that aspect, like you'd
No,
be wearing a combat uniform,
why not? It's not a combat uniform. It's a utility uniform.
the Flieger uniform.
Yeah. Mechanic. I mean, the other thing too is that all the guys inside the camp had black coveralls on.
You're talking
which is
about the
strange.
thing.
Okay, so that's what I was going to ask you. Yes, that's what I was going to ask you.
That
is
was
the
completely
black
wrong.
uniforms. Because
Yeah.
but they did research. I'm not like saying they did research, so they're right. They did so much research into the uniforms, and so many of them were okay. We can talk about that in a second. But like, what is up with the black coveralls?
They used
for
to
the
use Luftwaffe
guards?
mechanic coveralls, which were black, and then they just put.
You're talking about
that's what they
the
used.
ferrets, the guys with the garrison
Yeah.
caps
Inside
on.
the camp.
Yeah.
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 I don't know.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, I don't know
They should all
either.
be wearing Fliegers, in my opinion. You shouldn't see any four pockets, and you shouldn't see any fucking black coveralls. That's stupid.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason for you to have black cover. What are you working on? Fucking what has oil? It's gonna destroy your uniform.
Well, is
So-
there any? I haven't done research on it, so I'm not gonna fucking bitch about it. But like, have you ever done research on like, did they actually just have them wear those because they were black and like they would signify like authority?
So, Nate, the one you sent, that's a four-pocket tunic, but he's also an officer. So, if we're talking NCOs, and
I
shit,
sent
mean-
that photo.
oh, that's. Oh, I'm
That's
sorry.
not me.
The Michael, the one that you
You
sent.
put this evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
That photo.
I click on links.
That photo.
Jamie.
That photo I sent. The guy on the left is the actual Roger Bartlett. His actual name was Bushel. But and then one of the Germans, in the center there is at the camp.
He's an officer. You can see the silver piping on his M40 or his overseas cap, and then he's also got the big gulls. It's going to be like 3 or 4 with the oval leaf. So, I mean, that would make sense, whatever. But in reality, it's really only Fliegers. I mean, officers' uniforms are a little different. I'll amend that. But for enlisted men, I mean, you're not. Are you going out? Are you going on a date? Like, no, you're going to wear a work uniform because those were expensive.
I love that blue color though.
The Luftwaffe blue is really nice.
They had the best looking uniforms. Everybody's like, "Oh, the SS had great." I was like, "No, the Luftwaffe better, way better."
The Luftwaffe has the best eagle. I'll give you that.
They had the best uniforms, I think. Like the SS, okay, it looks like a bunch of like fucking somebody designed a dress uniform, which 2 German officers did.
A 4-pocket M40 is you can live out of. You can't live out of a Flieger. So Luftwaffe has the best. So the Luftwaffe field divisions that use the Army tunics with blue with Luftwaffe Eagles, that's the best uniform for the war.
Okay.
Because the Flieger uniform like has the shittiest pockets in the world. It's like an M41 jacket. It's like you could fit like a pocket watch and a cigarette. Good, like yay! I'm gonna go fight the Russians now. Like it doesn't really work out that well. But also, it was a tunic that was supposed to go under your coveralls and everything. When you were flying, because it's your flying tunic.
I'm looking up photos of the actual Stalag Luft 3 right now.
Oh, was it 3?
That's what the name of it was. The prison. Yeah.
Yeah, it was in Poland too, right?
Yep. It was Germany at the time, but it's Poland now.
Yeah. They moved the border back.
It was not close to Switzerland
No.
at all. That's the thing.
Oh, yeah. Well, the funny thing too is that the Swiss were almost as bad as the Germans in some cases because they kept they shot down everybody and they kept all the flyers. There were some flyers that ended up in fucking insane asylums in Switzerland during the war. It's really, really dark history that nobody talks about.
And they would also hold people at the border and be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, you made it to Switzerland," and they would turn them over.
There were a lot of operations too where the Allies bombed Switzerland by accident. Like, whoops, because these guys get lost, they get blown off target, and a fucking European city is a European city. I mean, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Ireland did the same. I forget. There's a really cute short World War II movie or film where these two guys are dogfighting and they get shot. They both shoot each other down, and it's in Ireland, and they end up in the same POW camp because that's what they did in Ireland. They throw them all in the same lager. It's like you're all enemies. Fuck you. We don't care about your nationality.
Well, the Irish built the pyramids, right?
Oh, completely. Yeah. The Irish also saved the world after the Roman Empire ended. So that's actually a true fact, though.
Took me a second, and then I was like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the fucking gears turning, the crashing
Yeah.
into each other. Yeah. Good stuff.
Grind it to a halt.
Okay, so the uniforms, yeah, like it's okay.
And the SS, like when they get out of the camps and they have all the other guys, I mean, they look great. The German soldiers.
Oh,
are
the
fine.
SS uniforms?
I mean,
Yeah.
The SS and the Army guys. I
Yep.
mean, the sniper rifle's wrong at one point, and some of the field gear's wrong, but I mean, it looks good. I mean, it's not bad. Ill-fitting probably, but other than that, it's
There's some interesting stuff at the train stations, like the German police that show up with the Gestapo.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
the Hitler Youth kid.
Yeah, Hitler
he
Youth
always shows
kid.
up every
There's a
now
girl.
and then.
There's a girl from the Bundeutsche Mädel that's around there, and like some of the train conductors too, kind of have almost militaristic looking uniforms.
So
Yep, they
that's.
did.
I have a funny story about that actually. So in Europe, there was a lot of civil service unions back then, and civil servants dressed a certain way, and that was very foreign to Americans. So there's this one funny story later in the war where these GIs are going through a town, and there's word that comes back to this officer that we captured a general. We got a German general, and these guys are bringing him in to question him. And they're like, oh wow, that's strange. So these two yokels, fucking GIs, bring in this guy that's scared for his life, like shivering old, like 45-year-old man. And he's a train conductor, and he has a very gaudy uniform, and he looks like a fucking general to an American soldier. And the guy is yelling, "The train will be here at 3. The train will be here at 3." And this officer's like, "What the fuck is going on?" And it took a little bit of talking to figure out that they captured a train conductor, and because of his civil servant uniform was so different, they thought he was a fucking general. And if you look at fire marshals' uniforms, because it also Third Reich is a dictatorship. Whenever you have a dictatorship, they make the uniforms more militaristic. That was always the thing. Kind of like North Korea today.
Yeah.
So you're going to look a certain way. So if you're from a different culture that doesn't have that, and you get put into this world, you're going to make assumptions. So these two fucking guys from Iowa scared the shit out of some really old World War I German vet at the end of the war.
That's funny.
Because we captured a general.
Well, talking about uniform stuff like that, what's really interesting too. They have one scene dedicated to it, but the interesting thing is that like all of these guys' civilian clothing had to be made or altered from their uniforms. Like he says, a lot of it stuff is just their uniforms that have been dyed with boot polish or something. When they're escaping, like Bartlett has on like a fedora hat, like that was probably made from a blanket or something. So stuff like that I always think is really, really interesting.
I think some of it, like actually in reality, was they would turn their uniforms inside out, and it would be a jacket on the inside or something. Like they were convertibles in a way. But yeah, you have to make do with what you're given, and they could only sneak so much shit into the camps, like compasses and maps and real escape aids, files and knives and that kind of thing. But you can't fucking. Here's some civilian clothing.
Well, I mean, the guy who's doing the clothing, who happens to be the guy who kind of fucks the whole thing up by getting out prematurely of the whole, the guy who's like in charge of all the clothing, he's showing how he's doing it, and like the sheets from the bedding, which have those stripes on them, he turns those like into like lounge vests and shit.
Coats.
Yeah,
Short coats,
little short coats and shit.
Waistcoats,
yeah. And so stuff like that, and that's stuff that would have actually happened too. That's not just movie, that's stuff they actually would have done.
It's a later '60s film, Escape from Alcatraz.
It's
or
63.
Alcatraz.
Oh, you're talking about Escape from Alcatraz. That's
Yeah.
60. That's 79 when that came out.
Oh, that's that late.
It's
Wow.
pretty late, yeah.
I didn't realize that. Wow. But that shows the amazing ingenuity of of people in a situation that want to get out. You know how they chipped away at the fucking vents and they made fake vents and they made fake heads. Like those guys went to the nines and it worked. So yeah, people in these desperate situations. I mean, you're gonna fucking figure it out, or it's not gonna happen.
The difference is that Escape from Alcatraz follows a bunch of criminals who should be in prison.
True. Apparently, they either drowned or escaped.
That's why I can't really get into movies like that, because it's like these people are pieces of shit. I don't want them to escape.
I understand, yeah, but it is interesting to look at, how.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yes, human ingenuity is fascinating.
Yeah.
Regardless of the individual.
Fucking cat.
And there,
go ahead. Sorry. Dude.
Just while we're on it, that one scene where the artist cuts his fingers off.
Oh yeah, from where he took away his painting.
Yeah, that's a man on a mission right there.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
Well, shouldn't have gone to prison. But don't want to get off.
So
on a
when you're there and we're visiting you, she would just be like,
so
why did I?
So when
go
Michael
to
gets
prison?
arrested for tax fraud, it's going to be fucking One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. No.
I don't know if I'd rather end up there or a prison, but
I'll throw the water cooler through.
Thank
the
you.
window
Yeah,
for you,
I want to
okay?
be McMurphy. Yeah, and
there you go.
And get a lobotomy. But
we'll call you Lobo.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
But with this movie, fucking Cavendish ruined so much shit, dude. That asshole. He's the guy. He falls on the package and sets up. He just basically finds an army truck and gets in it, and it's like, of course, this guy drives you to the fucking SS. Like what?
well, they're not SS. That's okay. So that's one thing I want to like kind of comment.
All right, go ahead.
So at the end, when they're, spoiler alert, a lot of them get executed. Won't tell you who. When they're driving there, so they got
Steve
the
McQueen.
SS guys, right? Yes. They got a lot of the SS guys that are in charge of this. They have army guys doing the bidding. Not fucking realistic at all.
Right.
Not at all. That would have been all SS guys.
So
In real life, if they were doing this kind of shit.
the gunner was
Army.
here. Oh, I didn't notice that.
Oh no, the one gunner was SS. The other guys were all Army.
Huh.
Yep. So it's like, yeah, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they were just that was one moment where the filmmakers they didn't even notice that the color.
We can
insignia-
recycle all these fucking
Yeah.
helmets and uniforms. Like we've already used them. Let's just fucking do it. Who knows? But like, no, they'd all been SS.
Yeah.
And because that's that's kind of what they were doing. Like the SS. The Waffen SS was a different branch. Like people don't realize that within the SS, you had the Waffen SS and the Allgemeine SS. The Allgemeine SS, they stayed within like Germany, and they did things that like basically like Uber police, right? If you want to look at it that way, did really shady shit. Well, no, like that's the only way I can really.
No.
describe it.
It's just I'm hearing Ubermensch in my head, and it made me laugh.
Oh, he's having flashbacks to a reveille.
Yeah, I'm having flashbacks. There's a lot of trauma. You said Uber police, and all I thought was Ubermensch, and it made me
Joe's
laugh.
line from the movie. That's why we call him the Ubermensch.
Ubermensch. Yeah.
Some Uber
Where can I watch Reveille,
Yeah.
Michael?
Nowhere right now.
Nate, that shit beard has got to go, man. Like trim it up.
It hasn't magically grown in a week to be past the point of like no return. Like what?
Well,
what are you
it's
talking about?
it's to the point where it's like.
Because I'm well lit. Is that it? It's because I'm hideous with a well lit room. Is that what's going on? How about that? Is that better?
No, it's worse.
Oh, okay. Must be my face.
No, it's the shit beard. It's like trim that fucking thing up. Make it look good. Make it look even. Take pride in your fucking shit
That takes effort.
beard. I know.
Just like life.
You get an F for effort. So.
Yeah, you sound like my 5th grade teacher. That's okay.
But yeah, so they would have been SS, and like there was a lot of things that they got wrong, like the motorcycle shit. Like yes,
Yeah, I mean, obviously that I don't think is based on anything that ever happened. That's
well, you could, Brian, could you actually make that jump? Like, because you've seen like that. There was like a cutout where he like turned around and came back. Could you make that jump over like 7 feet of barbed wire?
Depends on the hill. I mean, you're asking a lot.
they-
And that bike he had was a heavy bike. The Triumphs are, they weigh a lot.
It's a heavy bike. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. My NSU is like 250 pounds. It's like fucking basically it's a motorbike, and I could throw that bitch around. I mean, maybe, but somebody just wanted to, because Steve McQueen was a very famous racer, and that's actually what killed him in the end, because they had the early asbestos race suits, and that gave him cancer. That 20 years from this film, 17 years later, he would die. So they just wanted to put him in a cool racing role, and he only didn't get to do that a lot. He did that in Bullet. He did that in Le Mans. So they just were like, hey, fucking throw this guy in a motorcycle and just let him do it.
Well, I mean, also, one interesting thing too is that he did not do the jump, but
No,
he begged to do the jump. Like, he was adamant that he was going to do the jump, and the studio wouldn't let him, and it just crushed him that he wasn't able to do that.
He was that juvenile kid that just wanted to get away with shit, and like at his core, he's just, he's almost like the rebel without a cause, that type of 50s hero.
He was also in the Sand Pebbles, right?
Yeah, I love
Yeah, he
Sand
was.
Pebbles.
Yeah.
I've never seen the whole
The
thing.
ending
I've
is
seen
so
clips.
good at that.
It's super long, but yeah, it's really good. He's kind of
I'm moving up, Strauss, cover me.
He's kind of that character though in the movie, this like juvenile delinquent who kind of becomes a good
love that.
soldier. Yeah.
It's Captain Hiltz.
Yeah. Which you notice he kept that, and he does that again when he gets recaptured. He pulls
Yep.
that out like
Well, because when they captured the other guys, when they captured Cavendish, right? And they're like, yeah, what are you doing? Blah, blah. And you lost your insignia over the past couple of years? Yes. There he could not be caught as a spy.
yeah.
That's how they probably justified, killing all those guys that were in civilian clothing or German military clothing. Whatever.
There were 76 guys that escaped, and they shot 50 of them because Hitler ordered them to be shot under the commando order. And the commando order was this decree, I think in 42 or 43, where basically they were not going to try commandos that were caught in European raids as soldiers. They were just going to shoot them for being spies. So that was the reason that they shot 50 of the 76. The commando order was used a few other times. There was a ranger team that was doing intelligence behind the German lines in Italy, and those guys were hung. It comes up a few times during the war, but that's the real reason that they were killed. So it was one of the few times you could be like Mad Men Hitler. Literally, he was like, yeah, shoot them all. And it was under this like very sketchy idea that they had. So it wasn't the SS being like, just shoot them. There was actually a good reason.
Yeah.
And the last one died. The last guy that escaped of the 26 that lived died, I think, 2 or 3 years ago. He was captured pretty early on, but that's just insane that there still was one left,
One thing I do know is that in reality, the 50 guys, I think they were all shot separately, like individually. They didn't line them up in a field and mow them down. I think they were like individually brought out and shot in the back of the head with a revolver or just a pistol or something like that.
Real Gestapo
Right,
style.
yeah. But, it's one of those little changes that they do for dramatic purposes.
Yeah, right.
What else? What else is there to say?
Well, we could move on to IMFDB because it's a classic 60s film, so it's full of MP40s.
Of course.
Not in a bad way.
It also
but,
has some 98s,
Yeah, no, they do a pretty good job with the German weapons. And there's some cool pistols in it you don't really see. So
There's one part where when they shot Ashley Pitt, I swear to God, they had revolvers. The
one guy had a revolver.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so wonder what those are.
a Farby sniper rifle.
Oh,
Cool. So we're on IMFDB, guys, and this page contains spoilers. The Luftwaffe. Good old Candy 8.
I wonder if, some of these places would have stuff like 98 AZs and things like that,
In real life, they wouldn't have had 42s in the tower. They would have probably had ZB-26s
Right.
and shit like that. And,
That stuff I wish I could see in these kind of movies,
Right.
Well, all the Polish guns went to the Atlantic Wall, so.
A lot of different shit.
ZB-26 is Czech. So they would have had those fucking
No, I
things
know.
everywhere. There were so many. They issued VZ-24s to fucking, I think, 3 or 4 entire divisions because there were so fucking many of them, and then the Romanians also used them. They made a lot of guns. The Czechs made a lot of guns.
And then you include that stupid fucking DS-39 that I spent an hour trying to figure out what the fuck it was when I could have just called Brian and got it immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Idiot.
Yeah. Well, sorry.
No cleaning rods there.
Yeah. Also the wrong sling. He's got a fucking Yugo sling on there.
No front sight either, or no front sight hood.
Well,
The
depending
early
on the
ones,
model.
the early ones, that's fine.
No cleaning rod.
340.
Well, that's also fine, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah.
It's nice to see Kennedy 8s in movies. Oh yeah. Yeah, the sniper Mauser competition, right?
Yeah, right. Like, what the fuck are we doing here?
I thought it was a Model 70, but it's not.
No, you can see it's a K98, but like it's just fucking.
Every plane rescue squad that goes into crash planes has a sniper rifle.
It's to
just in
kill the
case they
pilot,
happen to
yeah.
be POW.
Hey, Nate.
exactly.
zoom-
Yeah.
Blow up that last picture right there where he's aiming. Oh, he's got a fucking like a really long bayonet on his ass, on his left ass.
Oh
cheek.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a long ass bayonet. You tell the way it's hanging, like.
Pew pew pew.
Oh,
Also
Jesus.
Or sorry,
Christ,
US
it's all
uniform.
zoomed in.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yep. Templates.
So I wonder who these guys, these specific guys here during that crash would be. Are they just some like local like National Guard type unit or something?
I have no fucking clue
Yeah.
what they were going for.
Yeah.
It's
Plot
like-
device.
Yeah.
Good old Schmeiser.
Der Schmeißer.
These are the films that made you want to buy a
Okay,
Schmeiser.
Brian. So what's up with the the collar tabs? I know the yellow is
They're flak.
usually for what?
Yellow is flight line, so that's what you usually see for paratroopers, and then red
Yeah.
is flak.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Air artillery, or
Yeah,
or
and
artillery.
aircraft-
in the
and
Luftwaffe
aircraft,
as well. Yeah.
Yep.
These guys wouldn't have that normally, right? They would just
No.
be
They
bare.
At this point in the war, you're fucking behind, a goddamn 88 because, B-17s. You're the guys that are putting the guys in the camps, basically. Yeah. I'm not sure if there was a certain color for a camp guard. I've never heard of it. I know that
For
the
Luftwaffe,
SS
I don't know. But yeah, the SS had the brown. I know, but like
Yeah, the SS had a certain whole system for the KZ system, but I'm not sure. And this guy's a flak NCO, so
right. Yeah, he's a fucking. He's even that really quick, and then we'll go back.
he's got a frozen
Yeah, he's like he's a Hauptfeldwebel.
wound badge and everything,
Yeah, he's like a master sergeant.
but no jump
basically.
badge though, which is strange. So
Well, he's a flak dude. He's not a jump. He's not a parachuter.
there was a flak unit. There was a Luftwaffe flak unit that was at Stalingrad that got fucking destroyed. There weren't too many because the ground troops really didn't get created until 42, 43 from the mechanics.
Yeah, so this guy
So-
could have a wound badge for sure. Like he could have gotten a bomb or some shit. But like,
Yeah,
he's
it was rare. An
I
Iron
mean,
Cross
he's
too
like
for
gonna
a
have a
flak
jump
guy.
badge. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not wearing his fucking first class ribbon, which is weird.
I mean, they definitely were retreading guys at this point of the war. There were a lot of guys that lost legs and shit. They're like, hey, you want to go guard some fucking English people? There's an MP40.
Yep. Yeah. Carry on, Nate. That guy says
MP40.
EK2 on. That guy's also Army. Oh wait, this
Yeah,
is when they were
look.
capturing. Yeah, this is at the end.
Yep.
Never mind.
Yeah, they look great.
And you got 36s on. There's the. Oh, wait, go up a little bit. Okay, so. Okay, I guess there's nothing wrong. Like,
That's a nice original tunic. The guy closest. I love the subdued collar tabs.
yeah, the 43 onwards, the generic. Yeah.
Is it MG42? Or MG3, actually.
So my guess is what's on Omaha, right?
Oh, totally. Yeah, giant
Yeah.
watchtower with
every
a
5
42.
centimeters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
every
Yeah. I mean,
single
I
one.
saw Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
I don't even know why you're trying to make an Omaha movie. Haven't you seen Saving Private
You know,
Ryan?
I had a debate
Yeah.
with someone. So after the beachhead was established at Omaha, there were a number of U.S. towers like that. They're sort of like that, built for traffic control and such, and communication with the fleets and all that. And I've had numerous debates with people saying those are German towers in photographs.
Well, no, because Americans painted everything green, so duh, it's not an American tower. I mean, haven't you played Call of Duty?
That is such a. It's like the fucking watchtowers become such a German thing in terms of World War II iconography.
Well, because somebody sees a photo of Auschwitz and then
Yeah.
they're like, oh, obviously they built those everywhere.
Well, it's like the 12th man.
I was gonna
That's the
say
same
that,
thing
yeah.
with that, yeah.
It's like they got that giant with
Oh,
the
I
fucking
forgot about that.
swastika on the side. It's like, what the
Well,
hell?
yeah, Michael. I mean, duh. Everyone knows that the Americans, labeled their towers with a different font than the Germans. So you're wrong.
They had big white stars on them,
Duh. Yeah, it's.
so everyone can see what they are.
I can't even say it with straight face. The scene where they kill the German officers is pretty great.
Yeah.
It's a little cheesy, but it is.
That's fun.
Cool.
But that's kind of shit that they actually would pull. Though. That's
I think
the
it's
thing.
hilarious though that like the owner of the bar, right after it happens, he and his other guy like have a drink. It's like, I'd be getting the fuck
Yeah.
out of there. Some German police unit that's really pissed off is about to show up.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And you said this is an MG3 because of this stuff, right?
No, because of the rate of fire.
It's like,
That's half what it should be. There was a problem during the war with runaway MG42s, and the way they fixed it was they had a harmonic balancer that they would put inside the bolt. And the Third Reich engineers experimented with it, but they never really got it pat down. And then the MG3 was the one that perfected it. And there's literally a counterweight that goes back and forth on the bolt every time you shoot. And they had different weights and things, and there were 3 variations, longer and shorter. So if you take that out of the MG3, you get a more similar rate of fire to a 42, but then you have an unstable machine gun.
Right.
So and that's the last thing you want to do. That's a horrible place to put a 42, by the way, on a fucking spare tire.
On a shitty tripod. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's 2 positions on 34s and 42s to mount the bipod. Yeah, do you know what that's for?
what?
Do you know why they have a closer bipod mount?
Why?
Bunkers. This way you have a shorter point to pivot instead of having a longer point. So if you're in a fixed position, it's better to put it on the lower one. You really don't see it done during the war, but that was the idea, is that you could. It just makes it more sense.
The 42 doesn't have 2 connector points, right? Only 1 connector point, right?
No, it's got 2.
Does it
I've
have
seen
2?
Yeah.
every time I've seen one
They're-
being used in a tow brook, that's where the tripod is. It's
Right.
always in the
I
center.
thought maybe the I couldn't remember if the 42 had two points of
It
contact
does.
for the
Yep,
bipod.
it's
or
got
not.
another
Okay.
little. They're very the 34s are annoying because you have to do clip and twist it around.
Yeah,
the barrel
it's
strap.
that clip release.
The
Yeah.
42s are just a button you push and then you push it down a little. It's very easy, very nice, very very forward thinking. But yeah, they have 2 positions on 42s. All 42s, 53s, MG3s, MG42s.
Gotcha.
Deluga.
The only sidearm carried by the German military in World War II.
Oh yeah. Yep. Not every single gun made before 1945.
Hiltz was lucky to have gotten someone who had one of those.
A Loga.
That's kind of cool.
A private, nonetheless.
Yeah.
The cool thing is that you do see a difference. You don't just see Lugers in the movie, which I did notice that.
There was
Yeah,
the
there's a
mounts are
couple
later on.
different-
Yep.
yeah.
A PP. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Shoots that guy.
The one I saw that I really thought was something you don't
So
see
real.
that much is the 34, which is coming up.
Mhm.
You don't see that.
Yeah,
that
the 30,
much.
oh, it's a Kriegsmarine one in the photo.
How do you know that's
Yeah.
a crease?
Well, it's funny.
because of the
My
eagle-
father
the
just
eagle
bought
print
one.
or what?
Yeah, the M.
Oh, okay.
My father just bought one recently, and I was like, "Oh shit, that's the gun he just bought." He was like, "Oh yeah," because they look so distinctive. The exposed barrel and everything.
When Mike and I were doing that live stream, we had the other guy had a long ass barrel modified one, which was very interesting. And he actually won it, which was funny.
Well, there's the 10s, the 14s, and the 34s. They all look pretty similar.
I don't know that much about them, but they're very
A
interesting.
lot of the 34s were used in the Second World War by the Kriegsmarine, and most of the ones you find today are fake Kriegsmarine guns, but they have the Eagle M.
I did notice there were some kind of anti-aircraft guns at the airfield. I don't know if they were Orlikon.
I think there were 34s on a fucking.
Okay.
I don't think it was anything like fancy, like any 20 millimeter or shit.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's got a good deal of guns for occupied Europe. I mean, there's no Thompsons, there's no Garants, there's no British
Obviously.
weapon. I mean, it's nice to see all German stuff inside, a film set in Germany.
Yeah, one little again. This is one of the only films where I have seen the German home front during World War II, and when they're on the train, Ashley Pitt holds up a newspaper that he's reading, and I translated the headline on it, and it said like,
Day after day, yeah.
day after day, more bloodshed by the Soviets or
Yeah.
something like that.
Oh, that's
And
pretty cool. Wow.
Yeah, I was like, that's kind of cool.
I was waiting for the scene where they go to the concert and they sing "Mein kleines Herz," but that never happened. So the modern depiction of Nazi Germany, what it was like. But no, it was it's just such a good movie, and it holds up so well for this is the 60th anniversary of it coming out.
It's damn good. It's damn
Oh,
good.
yeah.
And,
Yeah, it's
Nate,
again, the acting is fucking superb, and like they got the point across. And like, here's the thing: is not everything goes right with their plan. Like,
No,
multiple
not at
times
all.
shit falls apart. It's like, oh, they found the fucking tunnel we've been working on for so long.
Yeah,
We're putting
well-
all our effort into. Fuck.
that they get shit fucked up during the big escape. Like it all gets
Right.
fucked.
Oh, we're 20 feet short.
Yeah.
All right, send down 30 feet of rope. Okay.
Yep.
They're like, I like how they actually like. The only question is like, why the fuck? Okay, send down 33 feet of rope. Like they just do it, It's like that's what you do. If they ask you, like, you fucking doing it.
Yeah. He says that. He's like, "What the devil do they want that for? How the hell should I know? Get the rope."
Yeah, get the rope. Get the rope.
You don't have to. You can't ask questions, dude. Fuck
Nope,
it.
just get the fucking rope. And they did. And here's the thing: is like, so they said they brought 11 back. They shot 50. Right, so that's 61 people that they've got accounted for. Well, 15 got the fuck away.
3 escaped in the end. And then
yeah,
there's 20 whatever got back to the camp.
And in this movie,
They
the
said
three.
11. They said 11 were coming back. In the movie.
But reality,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, they do in the movie. They also show only 3 who got away safely. It was Danny, Willie, and then Sedgwick. Those
Yeah.
are the only actual
And
success.
there's that one funny scene with the Aussie too, where they're like, "Please don't speak French." Yeah, it's like, don't destroy it.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can understand English. Like, just shut the fuck up.
Right. And it's funny. It came out on what do you call it? 4th of July, 1963.
Oh,
Nice.
perfect.
So, yeah.
How appropriate. Every time, Nate, you get up and walk, I just imagine like a whole bunch of shit is going to fall. Like that's just what it seems like.
Yeah,
It's gonna be like it's gonna be like Uncle Buck's
The
closet.
panel falls down, and it's a bunch of RAF guys digging a tunnel. And
I mean, you're not too far off. I got a leaning
No.
tower of fucking bullshit in my.
I just
laundry
imagine
room.
like Uncle Buck's closet when he tries to pull the bag
It's
out.
a
and
little
it's just
bit like
a
that.
sea of shit.
I have a bin in front of me that's full of like random shit. I gotta list and do all this stuff. And so right now it's a fucking current mess.
Yeah.
It's full of Nate's used cock rings he's selling. So if you guys are interested.
Used cock rings, you say?
Yeah.
Used. That's the
Yep.
key part.
Why did that sound so fucking genuine? God damn it. Like,
I mean,
cock
I'll
rings, you
fucking
say?
take him for a ride.
When the rubber starts to split, he's got to get rid of them. Mate,
I'll take him for a ride. I'll try to get him around the fucking.
You can put him on
brass
your
balls.
fist now.
Put him on your fist. Well, I'm gonna need
It's
that.
a ribbed for his pleasure. But,
Oof.
Pearl beaded prolong ring.
Ah,
Should we?
no.
Not good.
Well,
I don't even know
well-
where you, I don't even know. I don't even want to know how you learned how to say those words together.
Here's the thing, Nate.
God.
Don't ask. Don't ask.
Damn.
Just fucking.
well,
just,
Nate's gonna have the great escape from the podcast.
I lived
right
in
now,
LA
so.
for 4 years, Nate.
Oh,
Well, but the internet
Yeah.
still exists wherever you live. So like,
You ever seen a fucking anal prolapse, Nate? Well, I'll tell you how to get to there. You know?
you ever see a grown man naked?
Yeah. You like movies about Turkish prisons?
You ever been inside a Turkish prison? You ever been to a basketball game, Jimmy?
Airplane.
Jesus.
Cute.
Fucking,
Airplane is so good.
fucking.
It's so fucking.
Let's
shitty.
wrap this motherfucker up so I can erase that from my mind.
So Nate, your the thumbnail is going to be for The Great Escape is going to be like the poster, but with cock rings. photoshopped in. So
It's The Great Escape, but fucking Steve McQueen does anal.
Well, the Great Escape is what happens after you use. one
Yeah,
of those
hey,
cock
we saw
rings.
we saw he likes to receive. He is a catcher, so
Can we fucking move this along?
Oh,
Well, I think
come
we
on,
have-
Bucko.
I think we've made it to final thoughts.
Okay.
yeah.
All right, Brian Cockring, fucking.
No, that's Nathan. Come on,
Anal
you know,
prolapse,
fucking-
Michael. Yeah. So. Jesus Christ.
Nate, you left your cock rings in my house.
Oh God, no.
How am I
all
supposed to
this
fit
out.
this fucking thing on? Yeah. Anyway, go ahead, Brian. You lead us off.
There
tonight.
probably has been The Great Escape porno. I mean, you know, like,
I don't
come
want to
on.
know.
All right, hold on.
No, no.
I don't want to taint my
childhood?
My childhood. No.
Fuck stick. Don't look that up. Don't even. What are you doing?
Tom, Dick, and Harry are a whole new meaning.
Yep,
Yeah.
there is. Yep, there is something. It's called The Great Escape, and no, I'm not clicking on it. But there is.
Yeah, why?
There is.
Hey,
a
look, you got a
category.
Trojan for free.
Yeah, there's a category there. So.
So anyway, now that Nathan's used up all of my chest time,
Safe
so,
search.
I'm
off.
fucking done. Like, what are we
That's
doing? This is-
so looking up Great Escape porno is what did you have, but not the word anal prolapse.
It's a medical term, Nathan. No.
he just hasn't had one yet.
Ugh.
But
Oh God. All right, let's just. This is getting Tiguchi
Devolving. This is
territory.
devolving.
It's bad. And instead of talking about
devolving.
the Civil War, we're talking about anal prolapses. Like, what? Let's not do
This
this.
is tragic because this is a great film, and I think we all can agree that it is a
Oh,
great
it's a
film.
I think.
Yeah,
I think.
it's
I
an
think. I
excellent
think. I
movie.
think this got botched. But
No, we've been fairly on subject. What are you talking about?
you're
I'm
gonna.
not,
have a hell
I'm
of a
not
time.
being silly. I'm not being silly.
You're gonna have a hell of a time editing, Nathan.
It's been fun. Look, I made Gandhi relevant, so you know.
we've said
Oh, you got. You gotta.
I know. I said it on purpose.
But he did.
No one's
Did you
denying
did-
that, Mike.
Okay, just really quick
Well,
before you do this. Really
no,
quick.
Brian,
Really quick.
go.
Did you
Brian,
look that
go.
up?
I'm going to be censoring it.
Did you look that up?
No.
Did you? Yes or no? And I'll
No.
stop.
No.
Okay, look it up.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
Brian, go ahead.
so. Yeah, you can say a lot about this movie, but it's just really good at the end of the day. It holds up very well after 60 years, and you know, for a movie that they played like all the time at AMC back in the day, like when they used to actually like have military days for Memorial Day and Veterans Day and everything. You know, it's a great film, and I love it for what it is, and there's just so much in it that I want to emulate with films that I want to make in the future. So yeah, I really can't build on what we said. Like if you haven't seen it, you live under a rock, or you live in Maryland apparently. If you haven't read the book, you really need to read it because it's really good, or whatever. Like it's just awesome all around. It's just an incredible story. It's a very good adaptation of an incredible story, and you know, it's a '60s film, but it holds up very well. So that being said, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. You know, I could, you know, give it a little shit for here and there for like whatever cinematography not being the most advanced or something, but it's just amazingly solid film, and you will always enjoy it. You will always find something new, and it's always worth your time. It's like The Big Lebowski. You know, it's like
How many movies
you
have we
watch
said
it-
that about?
Well, I just mean the style of it, where it's like, you know, you watch it, you get sucked in, and it's hard to look away. You know,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
just so many good scenes in it because, oh, you get to the Cooler King, you get to that, like it's just awesome. So yeah, 9 out of 10. And that being said, I'd love to know your score, Michael.
Yes.
Um,
Sorry.
apparently Nate does too.
Sorry. Sorry. I fixed something and made me happy.
What the
He just
fuck
found
are you
he just
doing?
found a fucking tunnel. So.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna go right into it. So yeah, the this movie is one of my favorites. You know, so I saw it when I was a little kid. This is a movie that, like, if I had a son, I would show him this movie at a young age because it is so entertaining and so cool, and just, you know, really just. I remember when I was a kid, like, this movie was just so inspiring to me on so many levels. You know, made me want to know more about the subject matter, and I'm someone who likes to build shit and stuff like that, so it was like it made me want to build a tunnel and all this crap. It's great for younger people, and well, it's great for anyone, but it's such an interesting story, and this is such a great way it's done. I can't really say. I mean, yeah, I can talk about little dumb things that we were mentioning a little bit here and there, but on an overall, it's just perfect from the writing, directing, the acting. It is though a story because this is again it is based on a true story, and the actual story this is a fictional version of that. So these people are all like fictionalized versions of actual people. This is something to where I would probably want to see a like really historically accurate version of it in terms of the actual people involved and all that stuff. Maybe seeing it in the middle of winter and how they did all that. And I've never seen the made-for-TV sequel, but there is one.
Oh, I didn't even know there was one.
Yeah, from the
Christ.
80s. It's called The Great Escape, The Untold Story. It's with Christopher Reeve. And
Dude, if there's a made-for-TV sequel on anything, look at the Dirty Dozen series.
that's pretty hilarious. Yeah, the fact that those movies exist. But I've never seen it, so I can't say it's shit or whatever, but I'm sure it's nothing memorable. Unlike this movie, which is like just, again, I could watch this any day. You know, I could watch it anytime, any day. Super entertaining, great cast, great characters. I loved it. I got to give it a perfect 10 out of 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm not judging you when I say
Yeah.
this, but why didn't Master and Commander get a 10 out of 10 to you?
But you're judging him.
I am. I'm just curious.
Why did you vote for Trump? I don't care, but I just want to know why you voted for Trump.
He's
I need
lying.
to know why. I need a list right
No,
here.
no.
of four demands.
I am okay.
Honestly,
it
Nate,
might be a little.
yeah.
It might be a little biased with this comment, but why?
It's all here, black and white.
But why
Clear as day.
did Master and Commander get an 8.5?
Honestly, Nate, because this is a movie from my childhood. It is like a movie that I love.
That's
Yeah.
I missed that. Okay, totally
Yeah.
understandable. Okay.
Yeah. So like, I mean, if someone wants to say, "Oh, that's a dumb reason for
No,
for
not at
being
all.
like," it's like no, yeah.
I gave April 9th a 10 out of 10. Like, I'm
Yeah,
not,
yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
going to judge it. I just was curious because I didn't have that information.
Right.
So that's totally understandable. I just
Yeah,
was
it's
thinking on
it's a-
historical context. I was like, huh? Like,
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like I said, we could go through and like pick apart like, oh, this isn't right, this isn't right.
Right,
But it's a movie that like I love so much, and all the good kind of outweighs the bad very drastically.
I gotcha. Yeah, no
in
worries.
terms of my perspective. But all right, so on that note, I think I'll pass it on to
Shit, that way.
that one right there. Yeah, Nate.
Oh, sorry, I'm not looking at you.
That one.
Yeah, I mean, like I think I'm the only one who doesn't have the nostalgia tie to it because I never really watched this until now. So, I guess, but I think it's good to have that overall. I mean, again, I think it being a 1960s movie, like I said, I think it is in its box, but it is surprisingly very well done in terms of the length of it. I wasn't bored. I was very engaged through the whole thing. It's 2 hours.
But what about the
and
girth?
it's like a cheese wheel.
It's almost 3 hours long.
It's almost 3 hours long, right? Like there's a few points where I'd be like, okay, how much longer do I have? But it's not like I'm bored. It's just like, is it gonna end like abruptly? Like I was waiting for that. But it's not bad. I liked everything with it, it being 1960s, everything I talked about, cinematography. I really enjoyed the time of it, the time period it was filmed in allows us to have more opportunities to have like real practical effects, real practical settings, real practical sets. Like it's cool. It's very cool to see that. And, but it is a pinnacle of its time in that sense, but I don't find it hinders it. But I'm probably going to be the lower WW3 only because I don't have that nostalgia. But I'm going to give it a 8.5 out of 10. Scream Mel Gibson's. There we go.
Cool.
It's a Mighty Mel's.
It's a Mighty Mel. Mighty
good
Mel
score.
Decibel.
Good score.
Yeah. I normally don't like 1960s movies. Like
That's why I say it's a
I
good
like
score.
this,
I'm
yeah.
not saying that facetiously. I'm
Yeah.
being, For you to give a 60s movie an 8.5,
yeah.
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Yeah. So this is one of these films, like with Michael and Brian. Like, I think Michael and I were along the same lines. Like, I saw it when I was like fucking 8, 9 years old, and I acquired it from my cousin, the 2 VHS box set, and I literally wore those tapes out.
Was
This
it
is one of the
was it 2 tapes? I never saw it.
Yeah, it's two tapes in a box set.
Oh wow, okay.
Yep, and the intermission starts right after Ives goes up on the wire and all that shit.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's
And
a
all that
nice
stuff.
interlude.
Yep, it's an intermission.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, and then the second one started off, in the camp, whatever, when Steve McQueen's trying to escape. It's basically after Steve says, "All right, I'll do it," basically.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I wore those tapes out and then would rent it from the library. So
Destroy their tapes.
I did.
Yeah.
I got charged for it. Or my parents got charged for it.
Oh really?
No, yeah, this is one of those few films when I was a kid that I like wore the fucking tapes out completely. And just would watch it over and over again, just have it on in the background when I was playing like Army Men or G.I. Joes. And then like I was telling Michael, like the kids in the neighborhood and I, they would all watch it too. And like we would literally like get like a briefcase or some kind of like pack or whatever and just go walk around the neighborhood like we were escaped fucking POWs. It was the most like cringe shit you could think of. But we did that.
I mean, that's the equivalent of taking lightsabers around the neighborhood. Dude, you're fine. I used to do Robin Hood and beat each other with fucking sticks. We could, like Little John.
Well,
like
explains
don't
a lot.
worry.
Yeah, I mean,
No,
yeah,
that's
it's-
pretty. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's living for you. But like, yeah, it's no. So it's one of these things that again, it's very nostalgic, and also when you were asking yesterday, like, does it hold up? And I hadn't watched it again, and then I watched it today. It does hold up. It's something that I think again, this is in my top 5 all-time favorite films ever. Like war movies or not, like ever.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm very biased, and I think I've told you guys this, but like the acting is so good, like just everything, like the little exchange when Werner is sitting in there before he gets his wallet jacked, and then he's just like, "Oh, you're a Boy Scout? Yeah, I had 19 merit badges. I had 20. Well, I was working. Just little things like that were just fucking awesome in the writing, and like again, like Brian said the Big Lebowski, but like also with that, it was also very stick to the fucking script, no improv. Stick to it. This is what you're doing. And that's the same with this film. Is like it was very. This is the script. This is what's written. We've done all the research. You're gonna fucking do it this way, and they did. And all the actors, even though like a lot of them were pretty prominent at that time, some of them weren't as prominent, but they were about to be. They all fucking delivered 100%. I think. I mean, 100%. And it was just good. And yes, again, the technical issues, but like they weren't, dude, for a fucking early 60s film, holy shit, did they do a good job. Like the uniforms, the insignia, the weapons, okay, very good. Because you look at other shit from that time, even though they're really good, like it's just like, fuck, there's so many technical issues. Okay, that, and then the fact that they actually did as much research as possible. Yes, there are some things wrong, but they actually modeled that camp, and that camp looked exactly like it did in real life. And it's like, okay, you put that much research in that far back, all these things, just like you said, you didn't get bored,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's like, because it's like you pay attention to everything and it flows very well. It flows very smoothly. Okay, this is why they're doing this. And then it leads up, and then it's like, oh, let down. Okay, next time, we'll just get over this. We'll recover. Yeah, so it's like that. And yeah, so I'm gonna obviously, like, it's a very biased score, but it's also a very accurate score, I think. I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10 as well.
Nice. So putting all the scores into the calculator to see if we actually will break out of Stalag Luft 3, we get a score of 9.37. So
I think it actually.
Very
I
good.
think it might be 0.1 of a point higher than Master and Commander. I have to double check.
Damn it, Nate, you had to give it an 8.
They're on the same level, to be honest. They're on the same fucking level.
Oh, for sure.
I changed my score, 8.4.
Oh, fuck you.
Oh no!
You want me to fly there right now and rip that fucking
let
old
me-
Bay hat off your fucking
Let
nasty
me
skull?
Let me see what Master and Commander got. Let me check that fucking thing.
The one thing I forgot to mention is that this film probably has one of the best soundtracks ever.
Of course, yeah,
And
one of the most
themes as well.
iconic ever. Yeah.
Dude, it's never going to be out of my head. It never is.
Yeah. Well, whenever I'm on my bike,
randomly pops in my head. I hadn't watched it in like 6 or 8 years possibly, and it still is like every fucking day.
whenever I'm on my German bike, it's really hard for me not to like think of the scenes with Steve McQueen. Yeah.
Are you trying to do
exactly,
your
but
New England accent? Because it's really coming through right now, whatever the fuck you're doing.
I'm just tired.
Okay, there you go. Because it's really coming through.
But
Yeah, it's all right.
yeah, no, it's
What was
it's
the
great.
score?
9.37.
Oh, Master and Commander's got a 9.6. So there you go.
God
Oh,
damn.
shit.
Yeah. So
Well, if you go back in time, this one's higher.
yeah,
If you go forward in time, the other one's higher.
yeah.
No, they're both
They're both
they're
equally. I mean,
excellent.
I joke, but I equally enjoyed this. I mean,
excellent films, both
yeah.
of them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the best war movies ever made, hands down. And if you haven't seen it, like I said, you live under a rock or you live in Maryland, like please watch this. And it's great for so many reasons. And also, I would just like to say thank you guys for helping us get to 50 episodes. It's been a hell of a journey, to get this off the ground and keep it going. And we really love all the viewership and all the feedback and everything we get back. And we do this to have fun, but we also do this for you. And it's been fun. And this is the 50 of something that I really feel like we can do a few hundred episodes of. So thanks for being there for the ride. And as always, if you guys have any suggestions or recommendations for any films, hit us up. To find us Facebook or Instagram or whatever. And this is a community thing, and we really just love giving our opinions. And that being said, don't look at me. I'm just a lifeguard. So anyway, we'll catch you guys next time.
I did. I forgot about that line. I like that line. That line made me laugh.
I'm watching him. I'm a lifeguard.
Yeah.
Oust!
Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to leave a rating. Otherwise, Mel Gibson won't stop screaming. If you like this content, make sure to check out our Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram pages. If you want to directly support our work, make sure to check out our Patreon. All these links are in the description below. Until the next time, Scuttlebutt out.